All right, let's jump to Monday Night Football. I'll have a write up for this from a betting angle out later in the week at actionnetwork.com. But we have the Commanders going to Philly as 11-point underdogs, total right around 44. Who do you like in a captain spot in this one?
I'm going pretty chalky here. I'm going with AJ Brown. And that's because, the Commanders have a very good run D. They rank
Mhm.
second in DVOA against the run, 25th versus the pass. So this is a pass funnel matchup. Obviously, the Eagles will still run the ball and they'll probably be very successful. But, they could find themselves in a third and long enough to pass situation a bit more often. And AJ Brown, his target share goes way up on third downs. It goes from 29% to 34%. And this is one of those game scripts where even if they get up early, they may have to just still lean on the pass because that's the best way to move the ball on this defense. So, AJ Brown has a massive ceiling. So I kind of want to use him in the captain slot here.
Yeah, I love it. Especially these kind of matchups where a team tends toward playing more man coverage than the average team. Washington is a team that does that, even though William Jackson would have loved if they did even more of it when he was there. But yeah, this team still plays man at a top 8 rate in the league, and AJ Brown, that's usually the type of matchup he goes off. Now, Devontae Smith was actually the one who went nuts in the first one, but I think that AJ Brown is due. So love
Yeah.
AJ Brown. Got him in my top 7 this week. I will go with Jalen Hurts. Talk about chalky, but in the first matchup, 21 of 34, 330 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So he did it through the air, 7 for 23 on the ground. I do think he may need to run a little more in this one because looks like the Commanders are going to get Chase Young back. So that front is going to probably get some pressure, and that's going to lead to some scrambling opportunities. And remember, they do play man coverage, and they did play man coverage at a high rate, even in the first matchup. So it's just kind of what they do. So anytime you have a scrambling quarterback and a defense that plays man coverage, there are going to be those opportunities to run. Well, the secondary's backs are turned. So like the matchup for Hurts from a passing perspective. Also think it could be a little sneakier than the on paper metrics suggest on the ground.
Yeah, I like that call. And to be honest, I was kind of torn between AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert. I know it's a tougher matchup on paper for tight ends, but Goddard has been playing out of his mind. So using Hurts in the captain slot, you can stack him with Brown and Goddard. So that's what I would do if I use Hurts in the captain slot. I'm absolutely stacking both Goddard and Brown, and then going cheap from there.
I don't know, not to go on a tangent, but real quick, how annoying is it that all the tight ends that are like
Oh yeah,
ranked high this week all have like miserable matchups? You have like Hawkinson against the
yeah.
Bills, Freiermuth against the Saints, and Goddard against the Commanders. I think those are 3 of the top like 5 or 6
Yep.
fences in DVOA against tight ends, and they've been good all year. So it's just really annoying.
It's a bizarre week for tight ends. Yeah, Mark Andrews is on a bye. Yeah, so it's tough towards the top.
Yeah, New Orleans is first, Buffalo is third, and Washington is fourth. Yeah, 3 of the 4 top 4 teams are like 3 of the top 6 tight ends are facing. Unbelievable. All right, who do you like for dart throws?
So on the Washington side, again, I don't know if this is a dart throw, but I'm going with Antonio Gibson, especially since it looks like J.D. McKissic will be out again. He missed practice today. Today's Thursday, and he's seeing a next specialist. So Gibson should see most of the passing down snaps again this week. He only caught 2 passes for 11 yards last week, and 10 of those were on the last play of the game. They just
I
dumped it
know
off
you're bitter. You
the
had the
10-yard.
over. I
Yeah, I
know.
took but like explain that to me. JD McKissic is out and Antonio Gibson has like the lowest output of the season. Anyways, rant over, but it's gonna be a negative game script, most likely. So they're gonna have to lean on Gibson whether they like it or not in the passing game. So love him here. It's definitely a game script that's not gonna work for Brian Robinson. So Gibson could just be the workhorse back in the second half based on the game script. And then it's the Eagles on a showdown slate. So I have to say Quez Watkins, have
Yep.
to use him. I mean, he's their deep threat. It's a top-heavy offense, so he's the only real dart throw in this offense. Got to have some Quez Watkins shares out there. But I would say Kenny Gainwell would be the other option. Like I said, we might see a little bit more third downs than usual just because Washington does have a good run defense. And last week, they like to bring in Gainwell on third downs. when they got a first down, they wanted to do the hurry up, keep the defense personnel the same. So Gainwell was actually on the field for first down, and he saw a couple carries in that situation. So he has a path to see a few extra carries if they keep that up. Plus, there's the potential for garbage time work. So I like Kenny Gainwell also as a dart throw on the Eagles side.
Yeah, I was just going to actually say that's a great point that, it's not just the, third down hurry up snaps that you can get out of him. It's the hurry up, but that's going to around the goal line. It's like when the Patriots used to have like 3 or 4 backs, Deion Lewis, I think Blunt and Burkhead, and it just, whoever was in there would get that touchdown sometimes. So I do like Gainwell for that reason, but I think there is another dart throw on the Eagles in this spot. And I think it's Zach Pascal. He against man coverage teams is when I want to roster him. And again, Washington's 7th most man coverage in the league this year. Pascal is 2nd on the team with 3.3 yards per route run against man coverage, behind only AJ Brown. No one else has more than 1.8. So you go from Brown and Pascal over 3 to Goddard at 1.8. So I think this is a spot, he'll get his, 20 to 30% of the route. So he'll probably anywhere from 5 to 10 routes run, not a ton, but we're talking about a dart throw here. Really like him. They love his blocking. So he'll definitely be on the field. And he's caught 5 of 5 targets against man coverage for 78 yards and a touchdown. And he leads the team with 50% of his targets on the year coming against man coverage. So this is a Zach Pascal type of game. I really like him. And I think he'll probably be even less popular than Quez because Quez, I think everyone kind of knows that he is, he's a starter. So Pascal, to my point, this is the type of matchup for him. In that first meeting, a season high 15 routes, a season high 3 targets, and a season high 3 catches. So, this is the kind of matchup they're gonna trot out some Zach Pascal. So,
you might be the only person in the world this week that said the words, "This looks like a Zach Pascal type of game." But the night shift is the only place where you can hear that kind of deep analysis. Yeah, to be honest, I thought you were gonna go with Grant Calcaterra or Jack Stoll. So
not against Washington. Washington's pretty good against the tight end position. Zach Pascal. Again, it's just things you start to pick up. They love his run blocking. Same kind of. He's like a Juwan Jennings, very similar guy. Love his run blocking. Could do enough in the receiving game that they kind of want to reward him when he's good at run blocking by getting him a touchdown, and they're good enough to do it. So
big week 8 as well. So
yep. And on Washington, I got 2. I'm gonna go with the 2. Backup tight ends for Washington. Make sure they're active, obviously, because they do have a 4th tight end, Cole Turner, but he's been inactive. But John Bates, first of all, and then Armani Rogers. Now, Philadelphia is kind of the opposite of Washington. They play mostly zone coverage in that scheme. They try to limit the explosives. And Bates is 3rd on the team in yards per route against zone at 1.7, and Rogers is 4th at 1.5. Bates has a team high 86% of his targets coming against zone, and Heineke looked for him near the end zone last week. They couldn't connect, but it was a pretty deep target, looking for him down the field. So always like to see that. Remember, he actually played well. I think you and I were both on him a few times in DFS because of, he had got the role from Thomas, but yeah, he's a guy that's capable of doing something. Or you could just get, late in the game, comeback game script to get Thomas out of there because they don't want to get him hurt, and dump off some passes to Bates. So either way, I think there's a few outs for him to pay off. And then Armani Rogers, I just like the way this kid looks. I think he's going to turn into maybe like a long-term backup for them, guy that they can have for more than just a year or two. They're starting to use him in creative ways. I believe he was a quarterback in either college or high school, but I've already seen them use him in the Wildcat. And then last week, they gave him a jet sweep and he took it 24 yards. Yep. And I felt so validated because he hadn't had a rushing attempt yet. But when I saw him in the Wildcat, I actually projected him for like 0.2 rush attempts or something. So I was like ahead of the curve on Armani Rogers rushing yardage.
Did you bump it up to 0.3 this week?
Yeah,
After that,
I might have it at like 0.5. Yeah, we're going crazy here. But yeah, no. So again, just a guy that's going to be used in a creative way. And remember, you have Darius Slay on the outside. You have James Bradbury on the outside. So Terry McLaurin might be a little tougher. Heineke's been targeting him a ton, but that may have to seize for a little bit in this one. And then Curtis Samuel, he's been running a lot of routes from the slot, so he should be fine against Avonte Maddox. But we're going for some dart throws here, so I think Bates and Rodgers, if they get some usage here, that could throw off a lot of people who rostered McLaurin, Samuel, maybe even Logan Thomas. So like the two backup tight ends for the Commanders. No fullbacks, I don't think. They've been elevating Alex Arma, but I think he's played like one snap, and I think he might be out of elevations. So don't think there's any fullbacks here. But what are the luck rankings looking like for this one?
Well, Washington ranks 11th, and the Eagles are first. And a lot of the first place rank has to do with them being undefeated. You don't necessarily expect a team to be undefeated this far in the season. So I wouldn't look too much into that. So this obviously qualifies as a 10 luck rank differential, but this is a game I'm probably staying away from. I think the Eagles are legit, and they're going to be a team that does well with a positive game script. So I'm probably staying away from this. How about you?
It's intriguing. Washington, got blown out in the first one.
I've been burned by Washington a little bit too much, I guess.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz isn't here. Remember, I always warn people, you do not want to bet.
Well, Heineke did his best Carson Wentz impersonation last week. So.
Oh, did you get 3 or did you didn't get 3.5?
Oh no, I got 3.
Oh yeah, you gotta follow me in the action app. I hit the 4 on Tuesday, bro.
Yeah,
come on. I was all over that.
A little busy Tuesday, Wednesday, but yeah, noted. Oh, I love 3.5s. I love it.
Yeah, no, like a lot. Lines as betting gets more and more popular. I've seen a lot more like line movement. Like you can't just kind of wait around till Sunday anymore. A lot of times, getting it. Like I bet the Titans Broncos under 39. And didn't even think just normal kind of underplay, 2 good defenses, bad offenses. And I looked back like maybe a few hours later and it was 36.5. Like, it's like these lines are moving as much as I can ever remember this year.
Yeah.
So it is. Point. Yeah. But as far as this matchup, I think you mentioned Robinson as a guy probably won't be a good matchup for him, but it could be a contrarian spot for him because I think everyone's going to kind of come in with the impression that Washington's going to be blown out. Washington's going to be trailing. But remember, they do have a ferocious defensive front. They could be getting Chase Young back. That's always the equalizer when you look for a team. How are they going to play on the road? How can they travel? Well, you need that defensive line to step up. And that is one thing Washington has going for it. So, if that defensive line just kind of keeps them in the game, we finally saw the chinks in the armor in the first half again for Philly in that Texans game. And, nobody, the Sharps are all over the Texans in that one. And, no one really gave them a chance, but they were hanging in there. So I think if you have a similar game script, you could get Brian Robinson essentially getting a similar type of workload to what Dameon Pierce was getting in that first half of that game. Against Philly. So I like him as a contrarian play.
Yep.
If you're throwing a bunch of lineups in, now that you mentioned that there is that 10 spot differential.
Yeah, no, I like that call. And to be clear, like his median range of outcomes are probably not good, but yeah, I love him as a contrarian play. Again, the Eagles are a run funnel defense. And like you said, it would be the same thing as Dameon Pierce last week, although Dameon Pierce is like 10 times amazing. Better, but still the point remains the same where, anything can happen. It's the NFL, so that would definitely be a good contrarian play.
It's the NFC East. It's late in the year. You need some physical smash mouth football. You need Robinson to just get in the end zone and just quiet the crowd. So I wouldn't be surprised if
if that doesn't work, dump it off to Antonio Gibson, please.
Right. Watch it be who's their third string back? Jonathan Williams. That's
yep.
Yeah. So I mean, he could get, if this game does get out of hand and it does follow the actual 11-point script, you could see some Jonathan Williams carries late in the game. So that is something people probably should be aware of. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this week's Fantasy Flex Night Shift podcast for week 10. Be sure to check out the full luck rankings list at actionnetwork.com for more great fantasy content from Sean and I. You can check out our full player projections episode, which is out now over on the Action Network podcast channel. We also have our fantasy preview episode right here on the Fantasy Flex podcast channel, where we break down the Thursday slate and the main slate. If you're listening to this in time for the main slate, actionnetwork.com for all of our NFL fantasy and betting content, as well as our up-to-date player projections and rankings for the upcoming week. You can find us on Twitter. Sean's at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. You can find us at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this shmoney.